Welcome back to another episode of Down Unders, guys. Brody, how you doing, my brother? How's your week been, my man?
Yeah, not too bad, brother. How about yourself?
Yeah, good, brother. Good. It's always good to be back talking footy with you and all that after a massive win. The Aussies getting it done over the Kiwis over the weekend. We will be talking about that. Aussie, baby. Let's go. Let's go.
Doesn't look like they've shown up in the chat yet. We got a rush and that's about it.
Just wait for it, brother. We're gonna get peppered in the chat real soon. I'm really excited for that one. Shout out to Nanad. I see you're there first in the chat. Hopefully you jump in, chat back and forth with us and all that. But before we get through all the reviews, the previews of the weekend, brother, the biggest news of the NRL, like the NRL news cycle doesn't stop, even though the NRL is all complete and finished. Benny Hunt is over. You know, he's international, but he's also became a free agent just recently here. The Dragons and Benny Hunt mutually part ways. Brother, your thoughts on this whole situation, and give me some of your clubs, because we were talking about this at work and you got a couple of interesting little thoughts here, but what do you reckon? What's going on here?
I reckon the Dragons must have sacked him when he was on a plane, so he couldn't fight back, because this has been going on for years. And like he's probably on the way back from NZ right now, and he'll probably get off and see the news and go, the fuck? But yeah, look, I think it's the best thing, not only for the Dragons, but Ben Hunt, as we touched on. It's been going on for years upon years. Like, it's finally time to cut the ties. As good as he has been for the Dragons, like, his head's clearly not there. Yeah, it's just time for him to move on. And the Dragons, if they want to move forward, they need to move on as well. As for a couple of clubs, I think, the Doggies would potentially be interested in someone like Ben Hunt if they can get him for the right price. The Gold Coast Titans, but, him and Foran would then look at potentially retiring at the same time. You got, I don't know, maybe the Broncos might welcome Ben Hunt back, but then again, him and Reynolds, both halves, they're going to retire at the same time. The Roosters will put their hand up. They just do. That's just who the Roosters are. And then my sneaky one was potentially, Cronulla Sharks. Grab Ben Hunt, come down the road, push Nico Hines to fullback and roll with that. But, hey, time will tell. Time will tell. What about you? What did you think about that? Who did you think he will go to? What's the first club that jumps out for you?
How about your Doggies, mate? How about your Doggies? Would you take him at the Dogs? Would you take him for a year? I know, a lot of the thoughts around him, obviously, he is getting older. I'll probably say that. I know he's still playing decent footy. Like last year, 30 try assists. He was up there for the try assist stats by the end of the year. Incredible. But, does he look like he's slowing down anytime soon? And would you give him a year contract, a 2-year contract with the Dogs? So, where's your thoughts there? My other two teams is like the Dolphins and that, but the Doggies was one that thrown around. I was like, you could use him, but then again, you also had a good year with Sexton as well. So, what's your thoughts there, being a Doggies fan?
I think Ben Hunt should go to a club where he might be the final piece to helping that team win a grand final. So I think, I would love to say that's the Doggies, but I still think we're rebuilding. And I don't know if Hunt would be a good signing for us, but we potentially could use that to tip us over the edge in those games where we have looked flat attack-wise, because he does bring a lot of try assist. And I'd love to see him, use Jacob Kraz on that right wing the way that he used Lomax this year. So as a Doggies fan, I would love to see him, but probably no more than 1 or 2 years. To really help us potentially make that top 4, win a grand final, and then he can sail off into the sunset, and we can have our young half coming through the SG Ball system right now, just to give him more time to develop, and he can learn off Ben Hunt as well. So as a Doggies fan, I would say yes. I'll take him for probably no more than 2 years, and I probably wouldn't pay any more than maybe $800K just for where he is at in his time, how long he's got left. But as for his footy, he was close to player of the series in State of Origin last year, and as you said, I think he did end up top in the try assist, in the halfbacks this year. So even though his team finished, 12th or whatever it was, so he's still got a lot to offer to a club. But yeah, if I was the Dolphins, I probably wouldn't. I would stick with Isaiah Katoa.
Yep.
If I was the Gold Coast Titans, I probably wouldn't either. Look. Yeah, other than that, maybe Newcastle Knights, they need a half. That could tip them over the edge as well. So that's my two hot tips, actually. It's the Knights and the Doggies. I think they'll be the best two.
Yeah, the Knights haven't really even been spoken about a lot in like from all the news cycles that I've like listened to, all the social media sites and that. I haven't seen too much on the Newcastle Knights, and there's been a lot of obviously rumors of them pushing out Jackson Hastings and, you know, players like that. And, you know, they had a halves merry-go-round this year and yet to really stick on, you know, some players to really come together and play in the halves for the Knights. And hopefully, I don't know. I think Benny would be really, really solid there. That's actually perked my interest a little bit. I haven't even thought about the Knights. The Sharkies one was an interesting one when you brought it out today, and I was like, and I know there's been a lot of questions over Will Kennedy after the year that he's had this year. I still think Will Kennedy's a good fullback, but I think like a lot of people probably would agree that maybe he would have to take his level up just a tad just to become, if the Sharkies want to become a premiership threat, and maybe the ability of pushing Nico Hines back to a fullback, which he played a lot of good footy for the Melbourne Storm in that grand final year period, whether that could tip him over the edge. And looking at some of the ages, like, so he's 34, DC's 35. Would you say DC's probably still got a couple of years left in him as well? So like he could probably play for another 3 to 4 years, maybe, judging on like, when did Cam Smith retire? I think he was a good 36.
I think it was 37, to be honest, Cam 37. Smith. But yeah, with the DCE one, I think he's probably only got a year left in him because I heard that they're pursuing Tanner Boyd pretty hard to take his spot, which is a weird one because, you know, they've lost Jamie Humphries to the Rabbits now. Whereas if he just waited out another year, he could have took over from DCE. But he clearly wanted to go now, and he's probably gone to a good club to benefit his career as well, quickly touching on Humphries. But yeah, DC, I reckon he's probably got maybe 1 year left, especially now that he's been cut from the Australian team. Next will be the Queensland team. So like he's probably on his way out, and he probably knows that as well. Even though with that said, he's still playing good footy as well.
Yeah, great shouts though, bro, for all the teams there. Newcastle is definitely a big one that's perked my interest, but if we're going up north, yeah, would you say probably out of the Queensland sides, where would you be sitting there? Obviously, you pointed out the Broncos, pointed out the Titans, but then like having him and Kieran Foran, as we kind of discussed, both of them getting older, and they'll probably have a issue there. And same with the Broncos, if they were going to play him in that 6 jersey due to Ezra Mem's situation. The Dolphins, he would probably take as a more of a mentoring role for Isaiah Katoa for the future, maybe push Isaiah Katoa back into 6 jersey and have him at 7. But like, can you see him fitting up there? Like the Cowboys probably wouldn't look his way, I wouldn't think.
Oh, well, who were they grabbing?
Clifford's good, right? Clifford's good. He played good this year, but there's also been that thing of Clifford of he's always been an up and down sort of halfback as well, right? Like, so maybe.
Look, I think maybe if anybody up here in Queensland are interested, it might be the Broncos, but expect him to play potentially 9 if they push out Billy Walters, you know, and then have him rotate in with Blake Moser. But if I was the Broncos, I wouldn't be interested. I would just be pushing for Blake Moser to take that hooker role now. And then potentially the Dolphins, as you said, on a 1 or 2 year deal to mentor Katoa, give him a bit more time because he's going to be something special when he's got more time and more knowledge under his belt. So up north, I don't really see it. I think he's going to stay in Sydney. And I think he's going to, end up at Newcastle. I don't know why they're not jumping at him.
That's a good one, bro.
Or, probably the Doggies. I did see the Doggies were interested there at one stage, and they've been teasing a little bit of stuff on their Instagram as well, November 1st. So they're waiting for that November 1st deadline to sign someone. So, but with that said as well, now he's been effectively terminated straight away. Maybe it might be Ryan Pappenhausen they're chasing because you have to wait till November 1st to look at him. So interesting. There's a lot of news in the week. As you said, bro, it comes out now that the season's done. Like there's a lot to still talk about and get your head around.
It always seems to be that way, rugby league, bro. Oh, like off-field indiscretions. You got like news of trade, like not trade talks, but like signing talks and that left, right, and center. And obviously, really excited to see what more comes out of this news. So definitely, guys, keep an eye on the channel for whatever more comes from Benny Hunt's sort of news here. Me and Brody will definitely talk about it. Before we jump over to Cam Murray's situation too, guys, we will touch on Cam Murray. Tarns jumping in the chat as well. Did you hear about the Tanner Boyd rumor, Ash? And if that's the Tanner Boyd rumor on the Manly Seagulls, yes, we have. You know, we should talk about that, make sure. But if you're coming with a side one of like maybe the Warriors and stuff, because I've also heard rumors in a chat last night at Wise Up TV about Braden Trindle. I was like, to be honest, I wouldn't be interested. But with Tanner Boyd, if it's a Manly situation, your thoughts there, actually, Brody. We'll may as well touch on that. Tanner Boyd to the Manly Seagulls. Do you reckon that it's probably more of a benefit to Tanner Boyd, right? And probably learning under DCE before he moves on?
Yeah, I completely agree. If I was Manly, I would have maybe prevailed with Jamie Humphreys, but look, Tanner
Mm,
Boyd would fit that system really well. It would mean Brooks has to go back to playing halfback, but with a guy like Tom Trbojevic in your team, you could put anybody in there, and he would make them
just give him
look.
the ball.
Yeah, he would make them look good, make their job easy.
Yeah.
Fuck, anybody could play halfback if you got that guy as fullback.
It's crazy,
It's
right?
I'm all
Just have a
seriousness.
good kicking game, bro. Just have a good kicking game and you're set and go. And even then, like we've seen, like Tommy, like we saw it in the Pacific Championships. We will get to that, to all my Kiwi fans out there. Shout out to you guys. But we will get to that. He can strike from any point of the field. So you're 100% right. But, for Tanner, who's been up and down in his NRL form, obviously the Gold Coast Titans have a horrible track record with young halves or halves in general. For him to go there and probably learn under DC, probably only help his career and, maybe even get him to a move to a different club later on, or maybe the Manly Seagulls strike on someone that can turn into another DCE in the future.
100%. 100%.
And also everyone else jumping into the chat. Shout out Jazz. Appreciate you. A regular viewer here. Shout out to Jazz. Also another little conversation here too. If only Ronald Volkman was fit and in good form, he would have options with the lack of quality halves going around. And the last rumors I heard on Ronald Volkman was, I think the Manly Seagulls were looking at him, the Parramatta Eels were looking at him, and the Dolphins were looking at him. Those are the three sides that I'm hearing. I'd love to see him at the Dolphins. Obviously, he's got family up here, up north. So, I'm sure Eshak and all the boys and all that will go to watch him and that. I'd love to go watch Ronnie up here. But if he goes to the Parramatta Eels and that, like Parramatta's buying a lot of young players at the moment, maybe he'd be a good fit there. If Mitchell Moses ever gets injured, which he has been for the last couple of seasons, he's had some injury trouble. So, definitely could be a little play there. But, keep that in touch for the future. Willis T, Tigers legends, Tui Lolly here, come on down. All right then. Shout out to Lolly here. And Tans, man, I'm just waiting on news about Tamate Martin. So with the news on Tamate Martin, Tans, let us know what your thoughts are, whatever's going on there. I'm not too sure what you're meaning on that, whether you're talking about re-signing and stuff. I think we're probably going to give Tamate a contract year, right? Like we're probably going to say, this is your year to prove to us that you can be a great 7. And then on that, we'll go with our contract. But if that's what you're stating, Tans, let us know in the chat. I appreciate you coming through as always. All right, brother, let's move over to Cam Murray out with a wrist injury from the Pacific Championships. All the news coming out. Unfortunately for the Australian Kangaroos, they'll be unavailable to play with him. Your thoughts overall with that? Who can we replace him with in the squad? We got Hudson Young. We got even Mitch Barnett off the bench. We got Ruben Cotter that can play edge at a pinch. Lindsay Smith can come onto the bench as well if we want to push like one of those boys up there. Your thoughts on how we're going to, persevere with that situation? It's not going to impact the Rabbits from last time I heard, but with the Australian Kangaroos in our finals game, I think Cam Murray has held a really good win percentage for the Australian Kangaroos. Every time we have him in there, we win. It's similar to the Blues. Every time Cam Murray plays for the Blues, you seem to win. Every time he's not there, you seem to lose. So hopefully that doesn't continue on.
Yeah, look, Cam Murray's a beast, and I feel for him. He's had a horrid season with injuries. It wasn't his best season for on-the-field performances, struggling to get on there, and all the injuries he's dealt with this year, and now another one. And he brings so much energy. He's so reliable, man. He's a guy that you would pick and build your team around, and that's why he's the Rabbits captain at the end of the day. So he will be a big miss. It's a tough one, man, because, Hudson will probably just slide straight in there. It makes the most sense. Otherwise, why carry him on the bench to begin with? So, he'll probably just slide into a starting role. It either means him or Angus are going to have to play on their non-preferred side, which is a little bit tricky. And then, for me, I would potentially still do that over bringing in Lindsay Smith. You don't want Lindsay Smith's first game in an Australian jersey to be in a final. And on the edge, So I don't think he'll come onto the bench. I think Benny Hunt will come onto the bench just to give that option. I know that runs with a smaller pack again with him and Birdo, but, I think that's the way that Meninga will go with it. He stick to the loyalty of Ben Hunt being the 18th man. So this is his chance to get a crack now that Murray's out. And, it'll potentially just push him to play lock a little bit through the middle. Isaiah Yeo can go 80 anyway, Isaiah Yeo. So you only need 2 forwards on the bench to replace the fronties, and that's Cotter and Barnett. So they're all big playing guys. So it's not going to matter too much.
Nah, no way, man. And like that's kind of what I was going to touch on. Even though it does seem light on paper, carrying Matt Burton and Benny Hunt on the bench together, like we saw in the first game against Tonga, Matty Burton for a small period come on in the middle, and he had really good moments there in the middle. Like I thought he played really solid. Yeah, 100%. And he's big enough. Like he's really like you never like. When you watch on TV, you still go like Birdo's a big half, but like, you know, when you're starting to put him in the middle, I'm like, he can probably hold himself up in the middle for a decent period. Very similar to Chanel Harris-Tavita. He's probably got the biggest size of body. Both those boys could do a job in the middle, right? So I think that like it wouldn't be as small as probably what it kind of looks like on paper, being, you know, him being a halfback, a number 6. But I definitely think that's a really good option, and to really spell Harry Grant will probably give him a lot of fresher legs. And then even like, you know, opportunities to, if let's say Mitchell Moses goes down or Tommy Dearden go down, he can cover those places as well. So I think that's a really good thought in your head there. So I think that's probably the way that we're going to go in this game. Again, sort of touching on like, are you worried a little bit more of Cam Murray out of that squad, or do you think we can cover that fairly easily?
I think we're all sweet. I think they still haven't even played 50% of their best footy, Australia. It's all their work is done defensively. So, whereas I think, you know, as rough as it was in patches for the Kiwis, that was probably the best performance that team could have thrown at us. And that's no disrespect. I just think that you guys overachieved a lot in that game, whereas Australia still seemed very, very patchy and stagnant, and we still got the job done fairly comfortably. So, you know, if Angus Crichton had,
my brother, you're there, bro. You're there. If Angus Crichton had one longer finger,
if he had all of his fingers, he would have scored that try. So
we may as well touch on it, bro. 22-10, the Kangaroos get it done over the Kiwis, and all our Kiwi fans out there, close your ears because you're gonna hear a lot of Aussie banter out there. But nah, we're gonna be pretty cool with it. 22-10. Again, like just touching on your thoughts on that, I honestly, the Kangaroos, we're still not yet to see a really good performance within that spine that we are carrying there. I thought that was probably obviously Dylan Edwards' best performance in that Kangaroos jersey as well. You know, obviously scoring, getting the try assist has probably helped that sort of view set as well. But it's just, we're yet to see, it just seems so clunky on either side. And I don't know whether that's systematically playing with Dylan Edwards, just locking down a right edge. And, you know, Tommy Dearden's going to have to really pull a lot of weight on his opposite side, where we've seen it unlocked a little bit when we had Tom Trbojevic sweeping both edges. So we were talking about that a little bit earlier. Like your thoughts on the Kangaroos performance before we do touch on the Kiwis performance overall, because I thought it was a solid baseline overall, but with the Kangaroos, we're still yet to see what we want to see, right? It's still just not there yet.
Yeah, as we spoke about at work, I think it was on Monday. I don't know, just the spine setup, it just doesn't seem to flow. You know, Dylan Edwards is still stuck in sort of the Panthers sort of system where he goes to that right edge. You know, you never really see him play up the back on that left edge. Whereas Tommy Dearden is a 5'8", he has Drinkwater for clubland, you know, sweeping to both edges, playing that sweeping role. And Tommy can get that ball at first receiver and play out the back or play short or show and go. Whereas at the moment, what you're seeing in this Australian is Tommy Dearden's trying to adapt to being that sweeper fullback because Mitchell Moses is playing first receiver on both sides. And then it takes away Tommy's running game, and he's still trying to think run first, which is the first thing you want to do as a 5'8". But he's not getting clean ball out to guys like the Hammer and to Coates. You know, to think that between the Hammer and Coates have only scored one try in international footy this year, it's crazy. Right? So I just think the spine's not quite there. It's not what those players need around them in a 6 and fullback partnership. I think, you know, if you run with Moses and Dearden at the halves, it's no disrespect to Dylan Edwards, but you need a guy like Tom Trbojevic, and we've seen that, who set up that try last week when he did sweep to that left-hand side. Or for me, it would be, you know, you push out Dearden and go Birdo because he can play that sweeping role. It's just about combinations, and I just don't think the combinations are there. That's basically it. They're all great individual players and fit their system when they're playing for clubland, but they're just struggling to get the mold together. And I think Harry Grant's been doing all of the heavy lifting through the middle. Some individual great plays. He's on defensively. Well, the whole team's been on defensively, and I think that's the shining light to the halves right now is they're both really good defensive halves. But yeah, that's what I think. It's just very clunky. And it's Tom Trbojevic carving out wide individually. And it's Harry Grant carrying through the middle. Other than that, our attack is just pretty poor.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. So I'll play devil's advocate. Like, I don't really believe in this sort of view set as well, even though I do think that Tonga and even though the Kiwis, conceded 22 points in this game, but still, I thought defensively they were both fairly sound. The devil's advocate of maybe that Tongan side in that first game just really like took us to us defensively, and maybe we weren't as good. Like, what areas are you looking at it to more so saying that it's our halves are not really coming together, or that more so than that defense just being really filled with a whole lot of effort, getting up in our faces and shutting down a lot of our set pieces? Like, what are you seeing out there from our halves that just you kind of touched on a little bit before, but go in depth of like Tommy did and some of those moments with him, or Mitchell Moses just not playing with the confidence they usually plays sometimes for the Eels, or what he played with the Blues. Like, what do you see? You know what I mean?
It's the errors, it's all the errors. It's not clean. It's not pretty. I think that first game against Tonga, we made 12 or 20 errors off the top of my head. It was something crazy.
It's crazy.
It's the timing, the timing's not there. It's like Angus is halting his run to be an option for that short ball. And it's looking clunky when he's catching ball. He's got defenders on him. He's not punching through the line because he's not getting the timing right of Tommy Dearden on that sweep. And then we're not seeing Hammer get clean ball, early ball. We're not giving him early ball with, the defender 5 meters away for him to make a move, especially on the weekend. He had the perfect matchup in Peter Hiku, who's a bit longer in the tooth, a bit slower, a bit bigger. That Hammer should have been getting early ball left, right, and center, but it just wasn't happening. I think Tommy Dearden threw 3 or 4 show and goes towards the back end of that game as well, where he had an overlap or potential for overlaps. It's just all the little things. I think the timing's really off. It's just the combinations. It's not there. It's not there for the players at the moment. And with that said, we're still winning. So, we're backing our defense. But I really do think you take Tom Travoje and Harry Grant out of this team again, and I think we potentially lose both those games.
Yeah, 100%. And like, touching on what you just said before, like, 19 errors against Tonga, so you're like bang on there, and like 61% completion rate. Those are sort of the areas that I've been looking at. But thinking of like as a halfback too, Mitchell Moses in a couple of games, his kicking game definitely hasn't been to his fullest potential either. So I feel like he's lacking a little bit of confidence, or where you call it maybe ring rust, obviously being a little bit 100%. Out of the game for a bit. So like, a couple of kicks out of the full in both games, just moments like that definitely he would take back into. Do you believe that, the week off now, we've done both our games here, that the boys can probably come together and really figure it out for the final game? Or are you worried about that? I know we're fairly confident coming into it that individually we can get it done. Like, we've seen it in both performances here, that even not playing to our full potential, that we got it done. But are you worried of that one-off performance from like maybe the Kiwis or, Tonga just wanting to get back on us and our boys just not coming together for one more time, a 61% completion rate performance? Or do you think it will build, to the final series?
I think I am a little bit worried. The only reason, losing Cam Murray is massive as well. His leadership, the voice, the consistency. Hudson Young has another error in him as well. He's another error-riddled player. You either get rocks or diamonds, so there's a potential for another error. Whereas Cam Murray, you're not really going to get an error out of him. He's also now potentially going to be playing on the wrong side of the field. So, you add that change in, that's different again. But what makes me feel a lot better is we've still won the games pretty convincingly, backing our defense. I think our forward pack's been massive. And then with that said as well, if we come up against the Kiwis, they will then be playing 3 games straight, whereas we've got the week off to be refreshed. So, they'll be feeling a bit of that. But I'm not too worried. I just hope they do get it down pack, and we do see a solid performance, just completion wise, kicking game wise, and see some good backline tries. We haven't really seen any of those.
Yeah, 100%. It's definitely a little bit different, but touching on some positives overall, you definitely touched on one of them. Harry Grant's performances in the last 2 games definitely has been absolutely incredible in my opinion. Like, we were talking about it at work. I felt like his name didn't get thrown around as much as what I thought it would over social media and that after the first performance against Tonga. But I think the difference is when you watch him live, you get to see how much work he actually gets through. But, just touching on his performances overall, bro, like it did seem like later on in that game, he pretty much just said, fuck it, I'll do it myself, and set up that, pretty much a 2-on-2 option, that little flick pass to get Zach Lomax over. Like your thoughts on Harry Grant in the international game at the moment?
Oh man, he if not him, Tom Trbojevic, but Harry Grant is probably leading the Golden Boot winner for me. He's been outstanding, and to back that up after playing the long season, not only for Melbourne Storm, not only for Queensland, not only making the finals and playing a grand final, to come out and still have that motivation, that confidence to do what he's doing now on the international stage is massive, bro. He's really proved again why he is the best hooker in the game. And I thought, he probably had one of his lesser quality seasons for Harry Grant's standards, but he's really proved me wrong in the last 3 games of the NRL season, then the finals, and now the performances he's putting on. Yeah. He's a freak, man. And to think that he plays 80 minutes the whole time, the whole way he starts the game, he finishes the game. It's effort upon effort, man. It really is. And he's soloing, carrying his team, him and Trbojevic. Don't get me wrong. Everybody else has been all right and pretty good, especially our 4-pack, but those 2 in particular, man, standouts.
Been the main ones, bro. And talking on Tommy Trbojevic, bro, like, we watched him live, obviously, last week and this week, watching him again, and how much of a handful he actually is. Like, Matty Tomoko is probably still having nightmares on that side, him and CNK. I felt like CNK was a little bit of a step behind in those moments on that edge there. But Tommy, as soon as he finds space, as soon as he has a sniff, bro, he always finishes opportunities. And if he stays fully healthy, bro, Manly are going to be a tough team to beat next year if everything goes right for them, right?
Oh, they always are, man. To have somebody like him on your team, it's crazy. It's like Ponga with the Knights, man. If he's on, they're a hard team to beat. But Tommy's just that next level again. He's got the tackle breaking ability, the speed, the run meters. It's just endless with him, brother. It really is. You wouldn't think he's had that many hamstring injuries and shoulder injuries. He just keeps playing like there's nothing happened to him, man. And he must surprisingly be so hard to tackle, because it looks like guys should be able to bring him down, but they just don't. It's freakish. Let's leave it at that.
Bro, he's working behind the ruck is like freak. Like, again, adult, it's freakish. Like, he's a front rower. He can be a front rower in one moment. He can be your best fullback in one moment, be a winger in one moment, be a center, be a 6. He is like everything. Like, he's probably, honestly, a healthy Tom Trbojevic for me probably is like the best player in the league, up there with Nathan Cleary. I think like Cleary's obviously at the moment the best player in the league, and when he's healthy and all that. But like when Tommy Trbojevic is healthy, there's probably no more dominant player. Maybe Latrell can get up to that level if he's like playing fit and healthy as well, but Tommy's an absolute freak, and it's such a pleasure to have him in the Australian squad. Other big names you kind of want to touch on before we jump over to the Kiwis, bro? Who really stood out for you in this game that you really want to touch on at all?
Paddy, bro, I think he did a really good job. It's not an easy ask to mark up on, James Fisher-Harris, Tarpany, those type of guys for the Kiwis. But, the performance that Paddy Carrigan puts on week in, week out as well goes unnoticed.
Crazy.
And then, Lindsay Collins, the madman, he is. And then just our bench, bro, like Barnett and Cotter, they've just been solid, man. They didn't take it as a chip on their shoulder that they got, the bench spot, not a starting spot. They've really just brung so much to the Australian team off the bench.
100%, bro. Barney, I thought Barney was incredible again. It was so good to see him go up against some of his Warriors teammates, and then even his future Warrior teammate in James Fisher-Harris as well. Running for 76 meters out of 7 runs, so that's over 10 meters per run. That's really solid effort there too. In general, just I've really enjoyed the work from our forward pack. Again, touching on Lindsay Collins, a player that there's been a lot of talk around after the Tonga game, him getting smoked by Olakau'atu. But the one thing people don't notice as well is the guy didn't stop after that either. Like, he probably didn't have the best statistical game, but he kept going. Like, we kept watching him. I was like, he just hasn't got any quit in him. And he ends up scoring in this game, so it ends up proving dividends later on. He had his moment. A little bit of speed to the man, bro. Like, he pinned back the ears a little bit there. I was like, even though Keeney was caught up in obviously the line, he ended up causing a tackle break. I was like, fuck, that guy's he's got a little bit of toe for a front rower, old Lindsay.
I think it's the aerodynamic, bro, through in the middle of, missing the tooth, just straight in.
All right, he's missing a couple there, bro. What's the famous saying you got, bro? He's probably carrying more in his pocket than what he is in his fucking mouth.
That's the one, brother. Hey, let me ask you something real quick. A fit New South Wales squad, what does your back 5 look like?
A fit New South Wales squad next year.
Next year.
Oh, that's crazy. So I would probably have, I would give the chance again to Dylan Edwards after this year. But this is like, if this is going off like skill set, we may have another conversation, right? But Dylan Edwards, my wingers would be Brian Toto, and are we talking about like, because we spoke about today, Zach Lomax is going back to centre.
Yeah. But just,
you know what I mean?
What would you pick out of what you got on offer or what you know?
Right, Tommy's fit and healthy, Latrell's fit and healthy, and they're playing best football of their lives, right? They're all playing the best football of their lives. Okay, I would go Tommy Trbojevic at fullback. I would go Brian Toto on the wing. My other wing would be, this is tough. It probably would be Zach Lomax in the form that he's playing in at the moment. And then my centers would be Stephen Crichton and Latrell Mitchell.
I think the same thing. And that's, to me, that's the way you got to go, because, you know, if you still try and prevail with Edwards at fullback, you know, it's not a bad thing, don't get me wrong, but who do you leave out of, you know, if Lomax is persistent on playing center and doesn't want to play wing, all right, you leave him out. But then you push in Critter to a wing, Toto on the other wing, Latrell and Tommy in the centers. That still doesn't work for me, being, you know, Critter being one of the best defensive centers in the game. You want him in the center role. So for me, you got to move one of those fullbacks that are playing center to fullback and keep Lomax on the wing and Critter in the centers. That's
what, because we were talking about it today, right? So thinking into next year, Tommy's fit and going, and just like, obviously there's loyalty that plays a part in this too. I think Dylan Edwards will get another shot in that fullback jersey, but with Zach Lomax going back at center, Tommy's probably going to be on that wing, right? You'd have to say, if Tommy's fit and going, he'd probably have to be on that wing. Or would you just give it back to Zach Lomax and Tommy has to wait his turn again?
I don't think Tommy has to wait his turn for anything. I don't. Yeah, he's going. He soloed Queensland that year that he played all 3 games. I think that'll be the way, as he goes to the wing. And I think Lomax is shooting himself in the foot saying, I want to be a center. Like, why, bro? You're the best winger in the comp almost if you fucking stick to wing. You know, he was one of the best this year out of him and Toto, and he would be again next year. And I don't know. And then it's still crazy to think you got guys like, you know, Scott Drinkwater that won't get a crack. You got Jake McCraz that probably won't get a crack. Braden and Best, Pappenhausen, Baden and Best will get pushed out again if those guys are fit. It's crazy to think of. It really is, like the amount that New South Wales have to pick from compared to Queensland.
When everything's going and fit and raring, like, you know, like I'm excited for next year, and hopefully we get a lot of our troops back for next year of, like, Murray Taulagi and Xavier Coates started the series and that, but, you know, in that fullback, you know, KP and obviously Reese are going to be fighting out for that fullback jersey overall. And, you know, we get our front rollers back, and hopefully Tom Gilbert can play for a whole season this season, because he's definitely been a missing man to talk about. But fuck, how about off-season, bro? We always go back to Origin chat. Everyone does it. It always happens.
It's Origin, bro. It's the best type of footy there is.
100%, bro. All right, moving over to the Kiwis performance, 10 points in this game. I thought, like, you know, we both kind of touched on it. I thought the game plan was absolutely solid. I think that, like, unfortunately with the team list that they've picked because of, you know, players that are pulling out, you kind of touched on it. Like, their potential is probably getting pushed a little bit here. With, like, you know, obviously you got Chance at that 6 jersey. You know, Shaun Johnson's come back from retirement, but played good footy in this game. Probably for me, out of the 2 halves, I would have had Shawnee probably played the best out of the 2. Even though Moses scored, I just thought that overall game, I thought Shawnee controlled fairly well. There's still a lot of injuries there. Leo Thompson comes back in next week. If you're a Kiwi fan, are you happy with this? Or are you happy with this to build for the World Cup and thinking that all your best players come back for the World Cup, and you think that everything like that Stacey's kind of put into place now will work in the future? Or do you think there's a couple of changes you want to think about?
No, look, I don't think you'd be upset about it. Put it that way, you know, like Australia still have such a bigger pool to fish in, you know, like, whereas the Kiwis, they had to pull somebody out of retirement and to still only lose by, you know, 12 points. That's nothing, you know, like to pull out a main guy, announce his retirement, you know, and then you last minute have to throw him in on top of everybody else they're missing. Hats off to them, man. It's 12 points, you know, that's nothing. And I dare say, you know, they'll get the win against Tonga. I really do think they will. And then we'll see them again and we'll see what they're made of again. But yeah, I think, you know, there was a lot of good, outstanding performances for the Kiwis, and the heart was there. You could see the heart was there. So you can't knock that. You know, they were probably never going to win the game, and they weren't expected to, but I think everybody might have expected a bigger scoreline with the team that the Kiwis did name. But they did, you know, they did really solid. They held their own. And I think they'll only build on that for this week against Tonga, and I reckon they'll get the win for sure.
Yeah, it's a really cool thing to touch on because I noticed on the Wise Up TV chat that we had last night, a lot of people were a little bit disappointed. Maybe there was a lot of questions over maybe Stacey Jones and stuff like that. Was there anything you noticed in a game that maybe Stacey probably is a little bit over his head in that moment? Or do you reckon, like, for me, I thought the game plan they ran out there was really solid. Again, for a lot of Warriors fans in the chat, it reminded you of a Warriors performance of this year. Like, the cohesion just wasn't there just yet. There was clunkiness in moments, but the overall game plan of kicking to your corners, your possession-based football, you know, you're holding the team behind that 40-meter line. It only came down to your individual moments where the Kangaroos really broke the Kiwis, and maybe one or two maybe lazy moments, but overall, this is a really good baseline, I thought, for a coach to go out there. I didn't notice any interchanges that I was really interested in, other than maybe Fisher Harris playing the full first 45 or something like that until he brought him off. I thought Fish was fatiguing a tad, but was there anything you pointed out at all with Stacey that, like, Kiwi fans should go, oh, he's not the coach for us just yet, or just give him time, eh?
What did they want him to go put the jersey on instead of Johnson? Like, come on, guys. Like, the coach isn't going to help you in that situation. It's not the coach's fault. You know, it really isn't. The game plan was fine. Fisher Harris has played big minutes before for the Panthers. It's no dramas. He's probably one of the fitter forward packs. You got to think that, Griffin Neem, the other starting front rower, he hasn't played since the start of September. You know, and then, you know, Papali'i, his team didn't make the finals. Keanu Kenny, his team didn't make the finals. You know, he's probably going off of who's fit as well and who's had a game recently, which is James Fisher Harris. So he probably put his hand up as well to say, I'll play bigger minutes. It's not the coach, you know, there's so much that goes into it. I wouldn't be going around blaming the coach for a guy saying I can play 45 minutes before I need my spell. You know, he probably put his hand up and said, I'll do that. The passion probably dragged him through to want to do that. So, yeah, for me, don't be going blaming the coach. It's got nothing to do with Stacey. I think, you know, their game plan was pretty solid. And if you add in a few other guys, you know, like maybe Ronaldo, Molitano, you know, Timokor. Oh, no, sorry, Timokor did play.
Did play, yep.
Iro, stuff like that, you know, instead of, you know, Peter Hiku and stuff like that. You know, there's a couple of guys there. Chanty in the centers and another 5'8", you know, Dylan Brown plays. You know, there's so many different things that the Kiwis could have ran out there with on a team and they would have won that game potentially, but they're just missing too many. It's not a coaching thing for me. You know, and they're coming off the lounge as well, where they're playing an Australian team that has the best center and the best, not center, Tommy Travoy isn't in center, but, you know, when he plays center, he's one of the best centers.
He's pretty good.
And Lomax is the best winger. And, you know, they probably scored 2 crucial tries. Other than that, it was just little moments. And that's going to happen when you're rolling off the lounge like the Kiwis are. We got to remember that. Match fitness is everything.
Yeah. And I think, like, you know, as a baseline, I kind of touched on it last night. You think of the Australian first performance, you know, cold start performance. The Australian first performance definitely had a lot of questions in it. We still got the win and all that sort of stuff over Tonga and all that, but I think that was really, really clunky. For that to be the walk-up performance for the Kiwis, I think that's a really solid first effort. And, you know, Tarns points out with a nice comment here, if Hughes and Brown and Nakota were in, I would say the outcome would have been quite different. And, like, that's the whole thing. Like, you can even say, like, I thought Phoenix Crossland played a good game, but if JMK played, like, there's a lot of missing pieces to the side as well. Brendan Smith as well. Like, there's a lot of missing pieces. But another one that's also brought out, shout out to Jose in the chat as well. Thank you so much for coming through. He had a lot of great chats earlier on that I kind of wanted to get to, but it's all right. My issue was Cody coming on in the 70th minute. That was probably my only other thing too, is like I would have probably tried to push Cody out there to really spark something in attack when they were probably 16-10 down. But yeah, that's my sort of thought on it. I probably would have had Cody Nikodima in that 6 jersey as well. Like, your thoughts there maybe?
Yeah, the only reason I think I mentioned it to you was maybe defensively. You know, Johnson is a bit iffy defensively, and if you had Nikorima on the other side, iffy defensively. Whereas Chance, he's a bit bigger, he's a bit stronger defensively, he's a bit more sound. I think that might have been the reason they went away from Nikorima. That's my only thought.
Yeah, 100%. Jazz also coming into the chat. Brody, Stacey has come and played and saved us in the past. Laughing emoji.
Well, he ain't going to do it again at his age, brother.
Going back to the Lindsay Collins comment with him not having no teeth. Jose comes in with F in the chat for Robert Whittaker. We'll touch on that a little bit later on. But,
poor Whittaker.
Come on, bro. Don't do that to our national treasure, please.
Come on. Just because the Aussies beat you, bro. Don't go kicking Aussie ways down.
And he also came in the chat and said, Brody looks like a tatted up Peter Parker. Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. Jazzy
Hey,
in
I
here
can be
too.
Spider-Man. It's fine. I'll take it.
Bro, it's not a bad shout. It's not a bad shout. And Trent Hodgkinson up here in the chat. Nah, joking.
Pretty much,
we
bro.
need to see JMK in the 9 for the Kiwis. Not hating on Cheese either. Yeah, exactly. No, yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
but you know, you run 2 of them, bro, and then you get Brendan Smith to push to the front row, the old Melbourne Storm system. Like that's ideally, if you had a fit Kiwis team, that's what you'd be running for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And like, there's no like, yeah, really, like, let's look at it. Like the Kiwis ran in with a side that probably a lot of people, like we did a combined 13 on Wise Up TV the week before in the preview, and there was barely any Kiwis in it too. A lot of people probably looking at going, maybe like a lot of Kiwi fans, but that honestly, like when you look at the Australian squad they were up against, like we kind of touched on the other day, like Dylan Edwards is up there for one of the best like fullbacks in the game right now. You know, some of the other best fullbacks in the game right now are playing in the centers. You know, Xavier Coates and Zach Lomax, 2 of the best wingers in the comp right now, other than Brian Toto and that. You know, Paddy Carrigan up there for probably the best, the second best lock in the game, and then Isaiah, the best lock in the game. You know, Cam Murray's up there for one of the best locks in the game. Like the team's absolutely stacked. Harry Grant's the best hooker in the game by far. Like, yeah, it's just.
And to think we're missing so many more good ones.
I know.
In that team.
It would have been so great to see, bro. That's the thing. After the 30-0 drumming last year, it would have been so good to see like Cleary and all that like filter into the side, and then have like the Kiwis filter in with Jerome Hughes and all that. I reckon that would have been so sick to see. Shout out Pridey in the chat too, brother. Johnny Pride. Good to see him in there.
Fucking look out.
Look out. And Jose Bruno, I love Robbie Whittaker. He's half moldy. Yeah, 100%, brother. Yeah.
Poor there.
He's both our treasures, huh? He's both our treasures.
I think when he's on.
Willis says he was born over in New Zealand, but he's eligible for Queensland. Thank you, Willis. Appreciate it.
Sounds about right.
And Jazzy in here with the chat. Ash, you are my Kyle Lawton. All love, bro.
That's
crazy. Kyle Lawton. Oh, I like that a little. I think Carl's got a little bit about him.
Hey, he's a good looking lad, you reckon?
Yeah, I think maybe. Shout out to him going to the Cowboys next year.
Does he have a ginger beard as well?
Oh my God, bro, let's not bring it up. Moving on, brother, let's, other than the other big games over the weekend, we'll quickly touch on Fiji, Bati, and the Cook Islands. We both didn't get to see a lot of this game overall this weekend, but your thoughts overall of Fiji, just they produced diamonds in this game, but very much they're still rocks and diamonds, right?
Yeah, 100%. What more can you really say until they come out with a solid performance against PNG? You know, the Cook Islands are there to make up numbers. It's as simple as that. So expect a bigger scoreline from PNG this week on them. But let's see if Fiji can back that up against PNG next week.
Yeah, 100%. And unfortunately, the Cook Islands just seem to be the punching bag of the Pacific Championship at the moment. So hopefully one day they can, they can really pick it up in the future.
We'll see.
We'll see. In other games, we'll touch on some of the women's games as well at the weekend. Did you get to catch the Kiwi Ferns versus Jillaroos at all, my brother?
I got to catch a little bit of it. And I thought the Kiwis did really well defensively, but they just were lacking so much in attack. You know, with the team that Australia have, it's probably the best female side you'll ever see, not just like to date. Like, I reckon that'll be hard Australian side to top like ever, in my opinion. I know the skill level gets better and better every year, but that side is so stacked. And to only concede the points that they did concede, like they did fairly well defensively. I was completely off with my bets on that game, but yeah, solid effort defensively. But yeah, to be held scoreless as well. Shout out to the Jillaroos.
Yeah, the only way it could get better is maybe Olivia Koenig and that to jump into the side as well. So like it's a top like squad from top to bottom. And the Kiwi Ferns like fought valiantly, but you know, missing obviously their usual halfback of McGregor. You know, I think like that's probably where a lot of their like directions probably lost a little bit. Like even Broughton, she's a great 5'8", but probably needed to step up in a little bit of moments. But yeah, solid performance, 14-0, nothing to really scoff at it at all. Like the Kiwi Ferns always give the Jillaroos a good run. But yeah, just not going to stop anytime soon.
No, definitely not.
All right, my brother, let's go through our previews of the weekend. We'll jump over to the next screen here. So we got the Kiwis versus the Tongan 13, brother. The Tongan 13 at $3. Do you find that a little bit juicy overall? Shout out also to guys before we jump in. Gamble responsibly. We will be talking about a little bit of betting in the later end of the show too, guys. So make sure you gamble responsibly. But do you see a little bit of value in that?
No, I don't see value in Tonga winning, but I see value in New Zealand 1-12. Yeah, I think New Zealand will get the job done, and I think it'll be fairly close. I really do. I think defense is sort of the storyline of this Pacific Championship, and I think it will continue on in this game.
Yeah, a massive in for the Kiwis. We've got Leo Thompson jumping onto the bench. I would probably say, as a little prediction, I think he does come into the starting side, and Nafahu White will probably filter back into the bench. They'll probably push Tarpane back into that lock position as he usually plays for the Kiwis. But then again, we're touching on that. Nafahu White, incredible performance last week, I thought. Like quickly stepping up to being a really good next gen sort of front rower coming up for the grade with the Roosters and stuff like that. Like, would you agree with that sort of thought there, or do you think Leo probably will sit on the bench and then maybe White will probably switch him around? Like, and also your thoughts on Nafahu?
Yeah, I think his impact off the bench was really good. He brings a lot of leg speed. I think they might start with him. I think they might want to be physical at the start of the game and not have to play catch up. And I think that's why they'll potentially run with the lineup that they've got here on paper. It's going to be fireworks, especially in that first 10, 15. And I think, maybe they're running him out there to handle that, to get that arm wrestle. And he might be a bit quicker through the middle as well than potentially Tarpane, and have Tarpane up front, play those bigger minutes. I think that's the way they're going to go with it. Match energy for energy with AFB and James Fisher-Harris. So
it's going to be an incredible little matchup there too. Also on the Tongan side of things, there is a rumor out there. The reason why Kalamatangi is out of the squad is due to his baby being born. So congratulations to Kalamatangi. Because when we first looked at it, I was like, no way they're pushing him out of the squad after the first game performance, even though I don't think it was too bad. Obviously the 2 errors were definitely thought about. But Wong jumps in for that jersey there too. Obviously, we've watched a lot of the Roosters this year and that, and even last year. Wong's definitely a big body and an athletic body. Do you reckon he'll do a great job for Tonga out there against the Kiwis?
Oh, he will, man. He's one to watch, especially in that Rooster system. I think he'll get snagged up by another club, just on what he shows week in, week out, that he does get a crack. But he'll be great, man. And when you represent your country, and especially for the first time, you go to a whole nother level. I mean, look at Jordan Ricky. He played fairly well on the weekend.
I thought so too, bro. As soon as he came on defensively, I thought he really stepped up in those moments. His kick chase has always been there, but he was rushing out of line, trying to put a shot on, trying to change the momentum. I thought he performed really, really well. But looking at both these sides, first of all, on the Kiwi side of things, where do you think they're going to attack more so? Where do you think they're going to have more of the positive moments in the game, and the reason why they will beat Tonga, in your opinion?
I think they'll attack down Isaiah Katoa's defensive edge. I think, they'll try and change him through with misdirection, running Papali'i on that short ball, and then, hitting up back to Keanu Kenny. I reckon Kenny will have a big game. He's dusted off the nerves from the first one against Australia, and I think he'll find himself in a lot of good open space here. I think him and Johnson's combination will be pretty great in this one. So I expect that. That's where I reckon they'll attack. That's where I would attack. So we'll see what happens.
I'm sort of thinking of I'm looking at players like Keanu Kenny. I'm looking at players like maybe even like Will Warbrick or Jermaine Asako, even Matty Tomoko, that have a little bit of toe in the middle. I think that when we saw a little bit of the Australian, the Kangaroos versus the Tonga 13 at Suncorp, there was periods in that game where we started to see what we predicted, that the ruck speed will get a little bit too much for Tonga. Even though they held in for the majority of that game defensively, they were unreal. There was still moments where I felt like Australia probably could have attacked a lot better through the middle with their speed. I think the Kiwis have very similar sort of aspects to their game as well, and when having someone like Keanu Kenny that loves to attack through the middle, he's got great footwork, as we saw in the weekend, but we also seen with the Titans. I think that's an area that I think is going to trouble the Tongan 13 in this side, especially with big front rollers, as we'll kind of be touching on in the future. But Adam Fanor-Blake, Hamole Olakawatu, Jason Tamalolo, these are all big bodies. Even Havili in the middle, sometimes they can get slow back into the line or slow back to marker. I think that Keanu Kenny is going to do a lot of great work for the middle, and that's where I think they're probably going to attack more so, especially if mobile forwards like Fish and Tarpane, and I think that's really where the Kiwis probably have a little bit of an upper hand, in my opinion.
Yeah, as long as, Crosslin can steer them around, which he is capable to do. He's shown signs of that through the night system there when he's played hooker. And as long as he can get those guys into some good positions, you potentially might even see a Joseph Tarpane try.
I like that. I like that. He does love the final try line, especially an international game. On the Tongan side of things, what would you say if you're going to play devil advocate with yourself? Where do you think they have any opportunity to beat this Kiwi side? Do you think it does come down to the strength of their forward pack, or do you see anything with their back line to say that they've got opportunities?
I think I'd be giving early ball to Moses Sully to get one-on-one. One-on-one with his man, bro, and someone like Daniel Tupou outside you, that's where I'd be looking to attack. That will be down the left edge as well, so that's coming up against Johnson. And you got Olakau'atu as well. So, yeah, for Tonga, I would be going left edge attack, getting early ball to Olakau'atu and to Sully to potentially create something for Tupou out back. If not, just put a lot of pressure on Johnson. The more tackles he has to make, the less he's going to be able to steer the team around the park. Whereas, Chance isn't really known for that. So if you've got a tight halfback, and the Kiwis will lose their direction real quick.
Yeah, 100%, bro. 100%. Completely agree. All right, Bala, so you got a score predictions. You're thinking 1-12. What do you reckon the score-wise it could be? Do you reckon it go over-unders? Like, what are you thinking? Like a 20-18 game? 20? Where are you looking at?
I'm going to go on 18-10 scoreline to the Kiwis.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go 1-12, 18-10. And I'm going to go with, I think I went with Keanu Kenny anytime, and I went with Daniel Tupou and Will Warbrick to combine for 2.
Ooh, I like that a lot. I like that a lot. I think the Kiwis can definitely get it done. I'm thinking like a 24-12 scoreline. I think it'll stick around that 1-12. I think Tonga will definitely turn out. I think the fan base of Tonga, I'm pretty sure that's what I said last night on Wise Up TV, guys. Make sure you double check that as well. I probably could have said 2 different numbers.
Yeah, cross-reference him. He might be cheating.
Cross-reference. I might have said a 2-point game. I don't know. I could have put it out. But anyway, I do think the Tongan fan base is going to go out there, obviously in Mount Smart or Go Media Stadium, what it is now. We've seen it before, and they could give a lot of energy to this Tongan 13 side. But I do think the Kiwis definitely, I've been talking about it for a little bit now. I think that their ruck speed is probably going to be a little bit different. Their mobile forwards defensively are going to be really, really strong. And I just think that the Kiwis, if they can play that same game plan with Australia, than what they do with Tonga, I think they'll find a lot more moments in this game than what they were to do so against Australia, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, bro. I think that's definitely the way the Kiwis need to look at this game, and I think they'll get that. It's just, then it's up to Johnson, at the back to make that happen. I think you'll see Keanu Kenny sniff around the ruck a lot. I think you're 100% right. Look for that offload off Tarpany. And if they can build off the top back of that, they will come over the top of this one real quick.
100%. And Shawnee better bring his tackling shoulders in, bro, because Olakau'atu is going to be steaming onto him. So that's one thing to be worried about as a Kiwi fan as well. All the Kiwi fans in the chat. But also, my brother, before we go, what is your favorite matchup of this game that you're excited to watch on? There's so many different lines to really look at. You got Isaiah Katoa versus Shaun Johnson, the older halfback versus the young halfback. You got the forward pack overall here. Give us some names, like any game, like any combination, any battle you're going to be watching out there, you're going to be excited for.
The main one, bro, is the battle of the hyphen names in James Fisher-Harris and Adam Fanor-Blake. Out with the old 100%. And in with the new for the Warriors as well. So 100%. That matchup is going to be, it's going to be hectic. Expect them to go after each other as well. Expect there to be probably a few words. Yeah, I'm excited to see that one. I think that's the main matchup in this one I'm keen to see. And, the young fullbacks, a bit of spark. I'm keen to see who dominates that. Keanu Kenny's got the better run meters here, but Lehigh Pawadi, we haven't seen much of him at fullback. So, expect a lot of spark out of the back men here as well. So I'm keen to watch that one. But, Keanu Kenny, I rate him highly.
100%, bro. I can't go past as a Warriors fan. I cannot wait to see Fisher-Harris versus Adam Fanor-Blake. That thing better get tribal. He better be saying, I'm going to take the Wise to the grand final that you couldn't do. So that'll be some great chat in the middle there. But shout out to Tans in the chat. She's got a nice little bet for us. First, second, or third. Woolbrick anytime. And Ellie Katoa anytime there. Isaiah Papali'i to go over as well. That sounds pretty good. Wonder what it's paying.
That's pretty juicy. I like that as well. What else is the chat saying? It seems to be going off.
It's going crazy. Everyone's killing it in the chat right now. Jazz, come here with the question. Which 2 players would you replace in the Kiwis lineup if you could, and who would it be?
Like anyone or like another Kiwi?
Are we replacing them with Tongan players, or are we replacing them like
With
Where we
any
going,
player in the
Jazzy?
league, or what do you want from us? Tell
How
us.
about, first of all, with any of this Tongan side, which 2 players would you pick from the Tongan side to put into this Kiwi side?
Probably both back rollers, to be honest with you, bro.
Olakawatu and Eli Katoa. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's probably both back rollers, to be honest. That's where Tonga, if we did a combined 13 right now, I'd go with Kinney. I'd go with Warbrick. I'd go with Timacor. I would probably go with Sully. I would go with the Sarko.
Yep.
I would go with.
If we're going to pick 2 halves,
Katoa and Johnson.
Yeah.
Funnies, I'd go AFB and James Fisher Harris and Tarpany at lock, and I would go with both Tongan back rollers and the Tongan lock. I would go. Oh, sorry, no, I wouldn't go Tomalolo. I would go with
Crossland over Havili for sure.
I would go Sonny Luke.
You tuck Sonny Luke in there. I love Sonny.
Yeah, I would.
How about Cody Nikarima? Get Cody Nikarima in the middle.
Nah, I'll have to pass.
Also, Jazzy backing up with the chat. Another Kiwi or eligible Kiwi. So that's what he was kind of pointing at.
Dylan Brown, bro.
Dylan Brown would be the first one, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Dylan Brown, and then, Chauncey potentially back to fullback, and Keeney miss out, but I love Keeney as well. So, and then, either
JMK maybe.
Yeah, either JMK or Brendan Smith, another hooker role there. That's probably where they're lacking. And then their back rollers for me just aren't quite it. Ask me this question again next year when Papali's killed it at the Panthers, but yeah.
Bro, the Kiwi's going to love, Papali'i next year with all the stuff he's going to learn under that Panthers regime. Also, Jazz, AFB did play for us once. So, he definitely could be eligible for the Kiwis. So, he could definitely filter in. But when you got Fisher Harris and Tarpany and that, just another amazing body to have in the middle there too. If you wanted to fix the side, Dylan Brown would probably be the first option there. You could probably even look at maybe another centre to put in for Peter Hiku. So Kale Ito, or you'd keep Joey Manu or going away from rugby union and put him in there.
Oh yeah, Joey Manu, or Dylan Brown and then Chauncey back to centre.
A lot of good options, but amazing, brother. Thank you so much for the things in the chat. Moving over to, lastly, the Cook Islands versus the PNG Commonwealth, my brother. No betting odds here on the NRL.com app. Do you know what the betting odds are?
Yeah, I think it's like a 50 line for the PNG, so it's crazy. Yeah, it's like a 50-point head start.
There's value in that too, isn't there?
Oh, I don't know.
Value for PNG over 50.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Once they get going, bro, they're hard to stop.
That's amazing. All right, moving through the side here. Not too many changes. The one big change for the PNG Commonwealth, no Reece Martin in this game, which definitely sucks because we are both big fans of Reece Martin. But the way that Nene McDonald played in that first game for the PNG Commonwealth, I could just see him having another massive day out here if they play very similar. And both these halves too, the connection that Lockie Lamb and Kyle Labart have with the side, I think that it's going to be a tough day for this Cook Island side, right?
I think so too, brother. It's hard to go past PNG.
All right, my brother. All right. We may as well jump over to some of the women's games before we go as well, bro. So we got the Fetu Samoa versus the Fiji women's side as well, bro. Not too many changes overall here. Would you probably say Samoa by a decent margin here, or do you reckon Fiji women have something?
I'm gonna go Samoa 13 plus for sure on this one. They got the skill level, and they're big and powerful, man. They overpowered Tonga, so I feel for what Fiji are going to have to deal with on the weekend.
Yeah, 100%. Looking at that Samoan side, top to bottom again, like an incredible performance here. Eva McEwen off the bench, she's absolutely incredible. Really excited to see her again in some decent minutes time. I thought Rasa Bali and that played really well in their last game, and Papali'i, who had a great game as well. And shout out Vans, as always, being family. She's an absolute killer out there, so she's definitely good for a try, hopefully in this game as well. And also on Sunday, we got the Kiwi Ferns versus the PNG Orchards. Now, my question to you, there's a couple of changes here. Shanice Parker comes in. There's no Nessa Brittle and there's no Tiana Davison. Mackenzie Wiki comes in. That is Ruben Wiki's niece, I'm pretty sure, or daughter. So cool. Really interesting. My big question to you, can they beat the Australian scoreline against the PNG Orchards?
No. No, they cannot. I'm not half as confident to put on the wingers to score any more than one try each, let alone fucking 5 and 6. So, but that center, Malele, I don't know how many she's going to bag, bro. I'm going to say 6+.
Mele, yeah, she's a freak, bro. She's an absolute freak. And also, yeah, to you, Clark, in the chat, yeah, brother, unfortunately, I continue to keep saying my last game. I don't know why I keep saying that, but England versus Samoa, brother. Did you get to touch on the, did you get to watch the first game? You probably didn't, honestly. Like 12:30 on a Monday morning, you're in exactly the same boat as me, not waking up there, but
no, I didn't.
Very disappointing from Samoa, right?
Oh, look, they had moments, bro. I did see they scored, that really good try. I think it was Dean Mariner's first or second one, not the intercept one. But, it's hard, man. England's getting better and better. That Super League's growing more and more. It's tough. And then, with on top of that, the guys that Samoa are missing, it's definitely not their top tier squad. So, again, don't be too disheartened. But, yeah, we always knew England were going to be hard to beat. But, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they bounce back just a week apart to play each other again.
Yep. Bro, if you go back and watch the overall game, Terrell May looks like he's carrying extra pounds, like extra pounds. I don't know what's going on there, but he looked really unfit in the middle. Like their middles just did not compete at all in a ruck standard. And this is from a guy that I love, Samoa. They're my second side, obviously being, my wife, Samoan. So, I want to see them go well. And I still have questions over Ben Garner and his team lists and stuff like that. But hopefully coming back into this game against England, if they're going to be running out with a very similar team list, I just would have loved to see a little bit more fight in the middle from a lot of these big forwards that have big names. Like Terrell May had a great year this year. I expected a lot more out of him. Francis Molo defensively, I felt was a little bit off in this game as well. Just didn't keep his feet moving in the middle. John Asiata is a little bit well past it too. I don't know what I was expecting overall. But still, yeah, you're 100% right. England was always going to be tough to beat over there. But I still just want to see a little bit more out of Samoa as well. But that could just be me just trying to push them into that atmosphere without all their big players in their squad as well.
Yeah, I think, they're just missing a bit much. They're missing Spencer through the middle as well. Maybe those boys had a really good couple of weeks off season before they had to get back into this and are carrying those extra pounds, brother. You might be spot on. So, look, they could be on holidays and just there for being there, or, they actually are keen to give it a crack. But I didn't get to watch too much of it, so I can't comment too much. But, that's not a bad scoreline, that's not terrible.
What I would tell you is that scoreline is that they missed 59 tackles in that game.
Yeah, so something went right. The cover defense must have been there to miss 59 tackles and to only concede 34. That's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I kind of do still their backline, bro. Their backline still put in a really good shift. I thought, Jarrell Skelton and all that, incredible on the top stage. Jordan Chankam Tong, I believe, should be playing a little bit more minutes in the 9. I thought he was really, really solid. Him and the Civital, the war dance before, the energy he had. You would have seen the video of him going head to head with Mikey Lewis, the English boy. You didn't get to see that?
No.
The energy he had, I was just like, oh, here we go, Samoa ready to go. And then bang, 7 minutes in, Herbie Farnworth crash over. And I was like, oh, and it was lazy, bro. And I was like, oh, please don't do this to me.
Shout out Herbie.
Shout out Herbie, bro. He does it to the best of them. But, and also Dominic Young, 11 tackle breaks in that game, bro. Crazy.
Jesus.
Crazy, right? Crazy. But, because it is Sunday morning that this is going to get played. Where do you think this is going to go? Do you reckon Samoa can nick one before they leave England because it's only a 2-game series? Or do you reckon England will go to clean sweep here?
Yeah, I think it'll be a clean sweep. I'd like to say that Samoa put in a bit harder of a fight, but I'm still going to go, 13+.
Yeah. after what I saw the first week, I think Samoa got a big uphill battle. I'm just hoping that maybe it was a little bit of jet lag or a little bit of whatever's going on in that first performance, and they come out and try a lot harder. Like, honestly, I want to see Samoa perform at their best, but I still got a lot of questions overall in that squad. Like, I don't think Milford should be playing in that 6. Like, I would have Blaze Talangi in that 6. Yeah, I don't know, bro. I could talk for days about that side. But anyway, I still got a lot of questions on Bengana. I really just don't know about Bengana, but see how we go. Anyway, guys, that'd probably be us, bro. Do you have any bets for the weekend coming up for all the fans out there?
No, the only one I really kind of pieced together and that I will be looking at, you know, the weekend really did me after the UFC and a couple of my bets. So I've kind of steered away from that one a little bit. But what I have got for the weekend was the one I slightly touched on for Australia, for New Zealand, which is the Kiwis 1-12, Keanu Kinney, anytime try scorer, and Daniel Tupou and James Asako to combine for 2. That's $20.50. So I might have a little sneaky bet on that, and that'll probably do me for the weekend.
100%, brother. And before we go too, bro, we'll have a quick touch on the UFC 308 card. I only woke up at the point of Robert Whittaker walking out, so I only got to watch the last 2 fights, but I did get to watch back a couple of others. Obviously, you know, Sharaputin, his
double
knockout.
Spinning back fists, yeah.
Bro, the speed he did that in too.
Yeah, look, you know, he was feeling that fight as well. You know, he had a tough opponent that was bringing the fight to him. You know, he wasn't scared to stand and bang with him until he couldn't. It's simple as that.
It's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
And then obviously, reaction of the two main fights there. Obviously, very sad to see both those boys go down. Probably 2 of the nicest guys in the UFC as well. But Robert Whittaker getting his teeth crushed. Thumbs up, bro. Far out.
Yeah, look, disappointed. I guess I should have knew it was coming because I had a multi that only had those 2 left, and that never goes well. And then as soon as, you know, Rob got done in the first round, he was defending really well on the ground. I think he maybe potentially should have gave guard, but you were saying on your thoughts on why. But I thought, if anything, you don't want Hamzat on your back. If anything, you'd rather him in your guard and then just try and maybe work out the round, knowing you got a 5-round fight, you know, try and buy your time a bit more. But you know, Rob persisted with having Hamzat on his back, and well, it's only a matter of time before he's going to find the choke, and that squeeze looked fucking deadly.
Yeah, for me, it was like, you know, with that sort of chat of that is like, I agree in like moments for like maybe Robert as a jiu-jitsu artist, you know, Robert has probably been in jiu-jitsu for a lot longer than Hamzat. Hamzat only got his purple belt fairly recently from memory. I don't know if he's on his brown belt just yet because he got his blue belt fairly around the same time I got my blue belt. So, but his leagues above where I was, but like wrestling wise and all that. So I don't know whether Rob just took it as like he's mainly a wrestler. So usually up against your wrestlers, like the best way to defend is a lot of wrestle up defenses through, you know, you get onto your turtle and you work up from turtle, very similar to what he did with Yoel Romero. But what makes Hamzat so special, and you kind of touched on, is a lot of the better places that Hamzat gets himself into is with those like really nice seatbelt guards from back. He loves those suplex moments too. He gets those like Russian handcuffs in ya. But yeah, I think that with Rob, did you hear that it was a pre-existing issue that Rob had from the Drakus fight? Apparently he had issues with his teeth before that, and he didn't get them fixed. He thought it was going to be all right, and it wasn't his actual jaw that broke. It was actually his teeth that caved in. That's crazy.
Fuck, that's insane.
I don't know if that's fully true, but I heard that on the grapevine. I think, who was saying that? It was pointed out on social media before. So, but yeah, that picture was gnarly, bro. That was gnarly.
Yeah, look, it must have been pre-existing for the way for him to tap as quick as he did. Surely it would have had to be pre-existing, or he knew that something wasn't right there straight away. So that's why he did tap before it was potentially more damage. Because I was surprised that he tapped so quickly. It didn't even look under the neck. And that's not to say that it wouldn't fucking hurt, because clearly it does.
Yeah, bro. It looked pretty gnarly, bro. It looked gnarly. Moving on though to the main card, we got Ilia Topuria knocking out Max Holloway. Bro, for me, it hurts because I'm a massive Max Holloway fan, and like we haven't seen anyone hit Max like that before. I think it's respect on Ilia, right?
It is, man, and I've been holding off that respect because, you know, good on him. Found the knockout. You can't fault him now. You know, he's knocked out probably the 2 featherweight GOATs of all time in the span of a year. Like, that's fucking crazy. Like,
it's mental.
Knock him in any part of his game you want, but to do something like that against the best in their prime as well, you can probably argue Volk's prime a little bit with the short notice off a KO loss to Islam, but still, regardless, you know, KO'd Volk, and then did Holloway the way that Holloway. Oh man, the form that Holloway was in, it's speechless, man, and it's sad. And you know, I think that Holloway was going to get robbed by the judges anyway. They said that Ilya got the first 2 rounds on 2 judges' scorecards, which I didn't see. I had it maybe 1-1. But yeah, they announced that they already had Ilya up 2 rounds to none on 2 judges' scorecards. So he was probably potentially going to get robbed anyway, which wouldn't have hurt as much as seeing Max get knocked out. But it still would have sucked, you know, because then it's just a robbery and then it's the debate and you have to run it back. But yeah, man, crazy. What more can you say? And I'm worried for, you know, Volk having to fight Ilya again.
Yeah, it's going to be a really, really crazy fight because Ilya's just proven again he's got bombs in those hands yet again. And also, like, yeah, I agree. Like, I thought Max was really fine his range too in that round. I noticed in every, like, combination that Ilya was throwing, Max was just keeping him in that jab and he was touching him every moment. There was moments where, like, Max was just sitting there just going, yo, I'll hit you here. And he found that range and I was like, here we go. Max is going to turn it up here and it's going to come. And then next minute, I just see that connection that Ilya had with that first punch. And you could just see that deer in headlights. Like, he just stepped back and I was like, oh, we haven't seen that. And I saw him, like, I was going to message you too, like, because we're messaging back and forth. That quick little moment where Max was surviving a little bit. And I was like, don't worry, his chin's held in. Holy fuck, how did his chin hold in? And then his chin gave out. I was like, oh, what the hell, man?
Yeah, I think you're right, bro. Like, you're right that you did see the moment where Max goes, fuck, how does a featherweight hit that hard? You've seen it in his eyes. And this is a guy that's been hit by Gaethje, by Poirier, guys that are big power punchers at a heavier division, and he didn't have that look on his face. So that speaks to the power that Ilya has. And you're right. I was like, no, wait, he's good here. He's good. Ilya might have just burned himself out a little bit as well, like trying to get the finish. And then he just found that left hook out of nowhere. And I was like, oh, fuck. So I don't know. We have no luck with UFC main events, bro, when we care for who wins. Like, when we care and want a winner, it doesn't go our way.
Yeah, 100%, bro. I think, well, we're in that track record we had in a row, like Volk getting knocked out by Islam, Volk getting knocked out by Ilya, Robert getting destroyed by DDP. Like, there's so many different ones that we've rolled into and gone, here we go. Like, let's go, boys. Let's get on the bandwagon. And it falls apart really, really quickly. But lastly, before we go to a couple of things in the chat, do you think Tomato Martin was healthy? Do you think if Tomato Martin was healthy, would he have played 6 for the Kiwis? And also, what do you think of the Waz not re-signing him before November 1? So first of all, do you reckon he would have played for the Kiwis, bro, if they had the option there? I think he would have been a good shot.
I think they would have. I don't see
him and Shaun Johnson, though. I don't know.
I think they would have, though. I think it still would have been the way to go, since, you know, he's a natural 5'8" and Chance isn't. So, and I think they just haven't re-signed him before November 1st because, you know, they want to potentially give him a 1-year deal, see how he goes. And I think that's a smart thing to do. I think clubs should use that more often. You know, there should even potentially be only 1 or 2 year deals in the NRL. You know, you got to prove yourself to keep your contract. I'm not a big fan of the big long-term deals. They never seem to turn out too well.
Yeah, 100%, bro. I totally agree. I honestly do believe with the Warriors side of things, I think they're probably just going to sit down with him and said, like, for me, I think he had our best, like, in that 7 jersey, he performed the best this year. We performed the best under Tomato Martin. I think we'll sit down with him and said, if you can replicate what you did in that short period next year, we'll give you another contract, but you're going to have to fight for it. And also, you know, someone like Tomato Martin that loves, you know, his lifestyle in New Zealand, I think they feel like they have the upper hand in that sort of side of things as well. Whether that's a good thing or bad thing from a Warriors, like, you know, the higher up sort of standards, thinking that obviously they have the upper hand, and if he leaves, this and that. But I honestly do think that he'll stay, and I think he'll perform really well next year. I'm actually really excited to see, because I honestly think that he's very underrated. From all the social media stuff that I'm hearing over Tomato Martin, again, like what I saw out of Tomato Martin this year got me really excited for next year. And I really do think that we can perform really well under his tutelage as well. I really do.
I couldn't agree more. And I think the 1 year deal, he should take it as a good thing. You know, he can prove himself and then ask for more money. So the ball's in his court, really. It's nothing stopping him. It's not like they've said, nah, you're not the fit for us. It's the best thing for him to, go prove himself and then negotiate his terms and conditions after that.
Yeah, 100%, bro. 100%. I think a lot of people might be sleeping on him. And another person, again, I think I have a little prediction. Me and Levon were talking about before we went off live, when we went off live. I think that Tane will end up probably stealing that fullback jersey later on in the year for the Warriors. That's my little prediction, even though I love CNK and I defend him all the way through. But I think CNK is becoming really underrated right now. The amount of stuff that's on CNK, and like people don't understand, like he had an injury riddled year this year, and he still, every time he came and put on that jersey, he ran for about 250 meters per game. If you look at his stats on average, he was up there with the top 3 fullback, run rate in the competition. Like I didn't think he was that bad this year, but unfortunately, I think he's been hit with that tag of like, Tane's the new fresh toy and he's incredible, but people want to see that really quickly instead of thinking of what we have at the moment too.
I think if I was the Warriors, I'd be starting with Chance, Tamare, and Metcalf. And I guarantee all of those guys will change their tune in 3-4 weeks that are saying, Chance, we don't want him as our fullback, and he's going to prove you guys wrong. He'll be killer. He'll be killer.
Yeah. And I like, as I said, like we're saying that too, like I believe that's the way we should go. But I also do believe, because I don't think we've re-signed Chance yet. His deal runs out in the end of 2025. So he can talk November 1 as well, I'm pretty sure from memory.
Okay.
I think that there will be a changing of the guard. But I think to start off with, like CNK is our most experienced. He's still our best fullback at our club other than RTS, who's now become a winger center. And I think he stays that way. With Montoya leaving the club, I think that's the way it's going to go. But that's just my opinion on it. I feel like the hate over CNK at the moment is getting a little bit crazy. He's still one of the better fullbacks in the league. I still believe that.
I agree. He's got so much to offer, man. He really does.
Yeah, and I think that pretty much answers your question there, Clark, my brother. I appreciate ya. Who do you think will play fullback next year for the Wars? I think it'll be CNK, but I have a feeling that Tane will end up stealing that role later on in the year. I really do. I feel like that's going to happen around this year, maybe even next year. Who knows? And then other than that, appreciate everyone else in the chat. Tan's had actually a good one. She's actually been watching a lot of football, she's saying. So I've done the 2014 Four Nations and 2005 too. All the 2023 Warriors games. Rewatched our game against the Tigers, which wasn't that bad. Tan, she's probably asking, what is a good game to watch? She chucked it up in the chat, brother. Do you have a memory of a game that Tan should watch?
I think it's 2004 Grand Final.
You're a dickhead. Oh, I can't say anything. I can't say 2011 Grand Final. I can't say because we lose both of them. Actually, go through to was it the 2011 where we beaten Melbourne Storm to get into the final?
Yeah, or any of the Melbourne Storm Warriors Anzac Test. They're always good ones.
Was it the I'm trying to think. The Shaun Johnson left foot step over England, I think that was 2014, 2015 to beat England. Yeah. I think that was his golden boot year as well. Go watch that. Tan's probably already watched all these games too. We're saying that, all the Warriors games. More than likely. Maybe look at some Bulldogs games, Tans, yeah?
What game? What year was it? It was the Rabbits versus Roosters, and it was the last game of the season, and they came from behind, and it was just mayhem. From whistle.
Adam Reynolds scoring the
last try. That's the one. What year was that?
2012, I believe.
I don't think it was that long ago, bro. That's 12 years ago.
I think it was 2012, 2013. It was when Chrissy Sandow left the club, and I think it was Adam Reynolds and Luke Keary were the halves. Unless I think Chrissy Sandow might have played that game.
I think 2012 was too long ago, brother. I think
they had a little period there where they went, those games were absolutely incredible. Remember, I think Chrissy Sandow had a close to a 50-meter field goal game against the Roosters, if I do remember correctly.
I think you could be right. Around 26. Here we go. No, because we played the Roosters the last game in 2012.
Yeah, shout out to Chrissy Sandow, Jose. Yeah, 100%. I used to love watching Chrissy Sandow play. Adam Reynolds.
It wasn't 2013. Was it 2014 maybe?
Try scoring winner. Roosters. I'll look it up. 2012.
So it wasn't the last game of the season though.
No, so it was, I think it was fairly early to secure a top 4 spot. Actually, there's been a couple of these games, so I'm running through them now. There's the 2014 preliminary final, 2011 where they've been in. I'm trying to think the scoreline. That one, 2012 round 19, brother, round 19. I see it pop up here. I'll see if I can bring it over so you guys can see it. So yeah, 2012 round 19, the Rabbitohs 24 defeated the Roosters 22 in a perfect piece of rugby league symmetry. This time it was the Roosters leading a comfortably before the 2 Rabbitohs tries and dying moments stole a miraculous 24-22 win. When Mitchell Pearce finished off a superb team try to make it 22-12 with around 4 minutes to go. Left the contest looked over. Nathan Merritt scored, and then Adam Reynolds ended up scoring a freakish try to end the game.
That's a game to watch. That was mayhem from the kickoff.
Yeah, that was an incredible game. I'm seeing if it had that moment here. I think it was this one. Yeah, 50-meter field goal from Chrissy Sandow. That was 2011. That was a year before. Okay. They had like a year on year, like, it was very similar to the Cowboys versus Broncos. So remember they had the golden point years that they all had, but tons. Go watch those games. Those were absolutely incredible from memory when I was growing up.
Tradition this now. Roosters versus Rabbits, dying game moments. Yeah.
Bro, I love that. It was good to go back into mine, like, to try to figure out other games. I'm trying to think of other games I have on the top of my head. I'm not too sure. All right, anything more in the chat, guys, before we go? Where do you think Benny Hunt goes? Who needs a half? We kind of spoke about that earlier on the show, brother. But I think Brody had a couple ones. The Newcastle Knights was an interesting one that Brody pointed out that I think could be a really good option.
All the doggies.
All the doggies, up the doggies. Tans is going to go. Thank you so much, Tans. Enjoy your afternoon. Appreciate ya.
Latest, brother.
And Alec, I can see the Dolphins picking up Hunts.
Yeah, I can too, but it's not. To me, it's not in their best interest at this point in time.
Tans, watch the rare game that the Waz smashed the Dogs.
Can you name it for me, brother?
That was Jazzy.
It was twice this year. Oh, no way.
Oh. Don't hurt my heart right now, please. Nas Williams, Sandow throw like Sandow liked to throw hands on Waipuru. Yeah, sweet. Yeah. Oh, it's Chrissy Sandow loved to throw hands back in the day.
The old Scherberg street fight. Remember that video?
Scherberg, yeah, that back in those days. Hey Ash, do you think CHT is primed to take over to 6 when Metcalf shifts to 7? Yeah, definitely. It would probably coincide with maybe seeing how Jet Cleary goes in his development as well, whether he plays a little bit in New South Wales Cup early on. But I think those are the 2 guys that'll be fighting for those half jerseys with Luke Metcalf. But I could probably see him being the first member there. Like Tomato Martin probably still has a couple of years in him though. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think there, bro?
Yeah, take your pick, really. It depends if they re-sign tomorrow. And then, it depends how quick they try and rush Jet Cleary up.
Yeah, definitely not against having CHT in that 6 jersey, though. He does perform in that jersey. Obviously, like goal kicking wise, that's obviously been well pointed out, right? But
we're not going to talk about
that. In every other aspect of his game, I think he's really solid, other than the moments where he probably feels like he has to do too much, like in the Dogs game, that no-look pass that he did. Like, it probably needed to just be a draw and pass. Like, he has moments like that in his game. But defensively, he's solid. His kicking game's not too bad, even though sometimes he can look awkward doing it. Yeah, I think he definitely could do it, like, for sure. I just think that if I'm looking at my options now, like, I think Tomato Martin's still got probably about 3 to 4 years left if we do it right, if he does everything right.
Yeah.
And Luke Metcalf has definitely got a lot of future. So the next up would be either Jet, Cleary, or CHT. And at the moment, I'd have CHT just looking at Jet, Cleary. But if Cleary becomes what a lot of people were predicting or, you know, wanting, he could easily jump CHT, I believe.
What if it's an Andrew and Matty John situation?
Oh, bring over Nathan. I actually had a really good conversation with one of the boys that, you know, through content creation and stuff. And he was saying that the arc of Ivan Cleary, you know, setting up the Warriors. So he pushed James Fisher-Harris over. He's put Jet Cleary over. And, you know, if he gets sick of the Panthers, he jumps over with Nathan. And they all come together to bring home what he started with the Warriors at 2011.
Hey, dreams are free, right?
It would be nice. It would be nice, but Jet's still a long way to go. Jet's still a long way to go. I'm just saying, it's like we're looking at future. I think that Tomato's still got a lot in his legs left. So, and then again, we're saying that he's coming off a neck injury this year too, so that could all go by the wayside. But yeah, that's where I'm sort of thinking. Like Jet is supposed to be our future, but that won't come for another couple of years.
Yeah.
All right, brother. I think that's a good show. Guys, thank you so much. Everyone in the chat, appreciate you all. You've all been pumping it tonight, as always. Thank you so much, Brody, as always, for tuning in, jumping in on Down Unders, guys. Make sure you tune in next week. We will review all the games here as well, and maybe there will be a decision where Benny Hunt will be going. Maybe it will be the Dogs, November 1. Do keep an eye out on your social media. But anything more, Brody?
Nah, that's all I've got. Thank you all.
Up the wires, baby. Take it easy. Up the Aussies. Let's go. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie.